I'm going to talk about on-trade relationships and how to grow them. A lot of this stuff should be very, very self-evident, but it's worth saying again. So that says, why are you here? I'm going to have a look at this from both sides. We all know why we're in an account. We work for brands. We're here to sell. We want to make house pour, cocktail listings, cocktail of the month. We want to make sales. The person behind the bar, as soon as you say you work for a brand, they know you want to make sales too. So you don't need to sort of tiptoe around this topic. You can both have an adult conversation about sales. That's amazing. Now, why are they here? They're here to make money. Whoever you're talking to behind the bar is here to make money. If it's a bartender, they want to make wages, they want to make tips, they love free merch and merchandise, so that's cool, but they're there to make money. If it's a GM, they're there to keep the bar in the black. If they're the bar owner, they're there to make everybody money and stop themselves having a heart attack and, calm themselves down. This is a long way of saying, if you're in their bar, if you're sitting down, if you're at the bar, buy a drink. Tip. Leave some free merch. We're all part, especially as brands, we're part of an ecosystem in the bar that's basically had the shit kicked out of it during COVID. Changing of money is how we all exist. If your brand doesn't have much money, say hi, leave some free merch, leave. But if you're going to sit at the bar, pay for your drinks, honestly, the people who work there will appreciate it. It's a way of building that relationship, building that rapport, showing them you know why they're there. The last one here, and this is before it all gets too clinical and we start talking numbers and stuff, which we will, have fun. Everybody's there to make fun. We didn't come into hospitality to lose friends. We didn't come in here to be robots. Everybody here is a human being and we're all lovely. So, talk about the weather, talk about, motorbike trips, talk about whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be all work. Be human and be lovely. I love this. So this one is, what do you want? As a brand, we've already spoken about what we want. We want volume. As much of it as we can. We want to hit our targets. We want to make money. We want to get our bonus. We want to buy something nice. We want to go on holiday. Think about it from the bar's point of view. What do the bar want? They want money. There's a few ways they want money and there's a few ways they can get money, and this is that relationship with the brand. Do they want hard cash? Now, if they want hard cash, a listing fee, money for a cocktail listing, this one's really, really easy. This one's great because this is the second rule. Do your homework. And you've all done your homework. Before you walk into a bar, you should know what your brand can offer monetarily, and not monetarily, you'll hear about that soon, but definitely monetarily per bottle. If you go in and they say, we want £2,000 for a cocktail listing, that's amazing. They already know you're there to sell. I've told you, everybody knows why you're there. You've introduced yourself as a brand. You can ask, how many bottles are you going to sell? And they'll tell you a number. Say £2,000 for a cocktail listing. They will do 100 bottles. You can do your maths very quickly. £20 per bottle investment. Can your brand afford that? Yeah, it's toppy. It's high. But you can do your maths. That's an easy one. The other way the brand might ask for money, and this is where it gets a little more complicated, is free stock in order to meet a margin. This is a retro. So basically, easiest way to do this, I know when I walk into a bar in Britain, if it's a £10 cocktail, bars in Britain, or especially in London, will work off a 70 to 80% margin. That means knowing that it's a £10 cocktail, every drink on that menu is going to cost £1.70 or £2.50 for the bar to make. And that's maximum. And that depends what other costs they're putting in there. So I know instantly from that margin that my bottle has to cost £22 to £32. I know how much my bottle costs going into the bar. You do too, because you've done your homework. You know exactly what it is. For a retro, you also need to know your cost price, your price of duty, and your price of delivery. I'm not going to go through the maths of how to work out a retro, but if anybody wants to talk to me afterwards about the exact way to work it out, that's fine, but it is very, very dry. I know that if I need to get down to £34 for my brand in the UK, I'm giving away one bottle for every 2 sold. So that's a 1 in 3 retro. For me, personally, I'm not doing that. I think if your retro's too high, you're devaluing your brand. And that's insane. The only other way I would think about going into a bar would be looking at the back bar. Usually margins on the back bar are slightly lower because they're neat pours. So you can see American whiskey on the back bar, and I ask, do you sell much of American whiskey? If the answer's no, we're done. If it's yes, we can then continue the conversation. But honestly, in 2 questions, how much are your cocktails? Do you sell much American whiskey? I know if I'm going to sit down. And as we can all tell, I don't drink in many 10-pound cocktail bars unless it's for fun. The next one, and this is a sort of a grayer area, and the third one is a lot more grey, is happiness. This is supporting staff. Like, the best bars in the world have the happiest staff, they have the best staff, they have staff who love their jobs, and they have the best service. If your brand can help keep staff and keep staff happy, then you're keeping the manager happy, you're keeping the bar happy. This has a monetary value, but it also benefits everybody. You can keep the brand happy, but you could bar happy by running activations, mainly internal cocktail competitions. You supply X amount of money for a prize. You supply the stock. You organize them to make cocktails and keep the bartenders engaged. That's a great way. You can do incentives, sell X amount, get this prize free, whatever the prize is, whether it's merch, a distillery trip. I'm not giving away distillery trips for prizes, honestly. Costs a lot of money for my brand. But it's a way of engaging the staff. And it's going to cost you more, but it engages people more. You're never going to get your full monetary value back from a bar for this. But honestly, I think it's a great way to do business. Actually, before I move on, staff trainings are not incentives. They do not see this as bonuses. Honestly, if you're going to pull people in on their day off to talk about your brand, this is a chore. In fact, they're going to want you to do something special. I tell you what, actually, another good way to do, find another friendly account and put money behind that bar and tell that bar they can go into that bar for a drink. That way you're supporting 2 accounts at once. Amazing. But yeah, trainings aren't a thing. Next one, down the bottom, is fame. And this is where it gets really, really, really great. Do they want notoriety? This comes in 2 things, international or domestic. The more fame your bar has, if you're on a top 50 list, if you've won a tails plate, if you have a famous member of staff, you're going to drive footfall into your bar, and that's going to make the bar more money. The way you get those plates is international notoriety. It's to go to the countries where the judges are. It's to put yourself in front of them. It's to get international press. I mentioned distillery trips before. To take 2 people to Nashville is £6,000 from the UK. If I'm trying to negotiate any sort of deal off that £6,000, the bar's not going to go for it. It doesn't really do them any good. It basically just takes 2 of their members of staff out of rotation, and they've effectively trying to do a deal about sending people on holiday. It's not going to happen. If I spend an extra £3,000 to £4,000 and make it a takeover, suddenly we've got international press. Suddenly they can invite judges. Suddenly people are noticing the bar. They can attract better staff. They can get better brand deals, and they can basically make more money. That helps them. Now, the problem with this is there is no one contract that covers this. How much this publicity means to you and how much it means to the bar is 100% individual. We're at BCB. There's 100 takeovers going on. There's famous bartenders in this hall making drinks, and I guarantee every single one has negotiated a different contract. So really do your homework. Think about where you are. Think about who you're talking to. Now, the other side of this for me is pub chains. Local groups. A lot of the pub chains I work with in the UK, they don't care if they're on the international bestsellers list. They don't care about tails plates, and they really don't care about top 50 bartenders. What they want is they want footfall and they want notoriety in their local market. So they're not going to go for an international takeover. But if I mention a charity-driven event for Black History Month, with free stock, myself doing an activation, or somebody from the distillery coming over and getting them press in the UK market, making them a bit of extra money, they love that. That's the sort of notoriety they want. It's a very direct form of notoriety. Basically, I've already said that all these accounts are different. So for you, your homework for this is to think about what you would like to do if you owned a bar. What cool things can your brand do? What does your brand mean to people? How can you activate and have that in your back pocket? Because you never know what is going to excite the person on the other side of the bar. I'm going to wrap up. These are my final thoughts. Amazingly, I love my slides. I'm good at tech. I did my homework. In my opinion, invest in people first. Honestly, you don't get as big a return on your money, but the connections are deeper. People remember you, people move bars, and they'll remember your brand. Invest in people, and yeah, I like people. The next one is do your homework. 100%. Know the maths. Know the financial limits of your brands. It's less of a barrier than you think, but it is a barrier. Know your product. Know your route to market. Know what events you want to do, and know what bar you're in. As my biggest things are keep your word, treat people with respect, and honestly, be a human being. We are all lovely, even though sometimes we go down a rabbit hole of this is what I want, this is what we need. But just remember that everybody here is a human.